With the recent launch of the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey, which is going to be a mid-tier travel card within the Wells Fargo ecosystem, Wells Fargo has now formed their own flexible Trifecta setup that can be used for people who are on Team Cashback and for people who are on Team Travel. So in this video, I'm going to compare the new Wells Fargo Trifecta to the Chase Trifecta, since they both have similar value and price points. And I'm going to be comparing both of these Trifecta setups across a bunch of different categories so that we can figure out which of these Trifecta setups is going to be best. Plus, you're going to want to stick around until the end of this video because I'm also going to discuss an argument for why neither of these Trifecta setups is going to be best and which credit card setup you should prioritize instead. Alright, before I compare the Wells Fargo Trifecta and Chase Trifectas across a couple different categories, let's quickly go over the main components within each of them. If we start with the Chase Trifecta, the main components are going to be the no annual fee at Chase Freedom Flex and Chase Freedom Unlimited, and then a higher tier Chase credit cards, so either the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Chase Sapphire Reserve. The Chase Freedom Flex is going to serve as your high category card since you'll get 5x back on rotating quarterly categories, which can include categories like grocery stores and gas stations. The Chase Freedom Unlimited is going to serve as your catch-all card to get 1.5x back on all purchases that you are making. And then the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Chase Sapphire Reserve is going to serve as your travel upside card since you'll get access to Chase's travel partners and the ability to get a redemption value boost when you book travel through the Chase Travel Portal. And which of these Chase Sapphire cards that you go with just really depends on your own travel preferences and your appetite for annual fees. Within the components of the Chase Trifecta, there are some business alternatives that can make sense for you as well, and those would include replacing the Chase Freedom Unlimited with the Chase Ink Unlimited, replacing the Chase Freedom Flex with the Chase Ink Cash, and then replacing either the Chase Sapphire cards with the Chase Ink Preferred. If we move on to discuss the components of the newly formed Wells Fargo Trifecta, the main components are going to include the Wells Fargo Active Cash, the Wells Fargo Autograph, and the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey. The Wells Fargo Active Cash is going to serve as your catch-all credit card since you'll earn 2% cash back on all purchases that you make. The $0 fee at Wells Fargo Autograph is going to be your foundational card since you'll get a 3x point multiplier on a bunch of common spending categories like restaurants, travel, and gas stations. And then finally, that new Wells Fargo Autograph Journey is going to be your travel upside card with the flexible airline credit and high travel multipliers for 5x back on hotels and 4x back on airlines. Okay, so the first category to where I'm going to compare the Chase and Wells Fargo Trifectas is going to be in how they earn points. If we first take a look at the Chase Trifecta, the point earning capabilities are definitely a downside and definitely something that a lot of people have an issue with because the point multipliers just are not that good. We'll use the Chase Sapphire Preferred for this example. So the point multipliers on the Sapphire Preferred are going to be for 5x back on travel booked through the Chase Travel Portal, 3x back on dining, select streaming services, and online grocery stores, 2x back on all other travel, and then 1x back on everything else. On the $0 fee, Chase Freedom Flex and Chase Freedom Unlimited, there are going to be a couple of unique multipliers. So the Chase Freedom Flex is going to get you 5x back on rotating quarterly categories, which by the way are really good for Q2 and include Amazon and dining. And then the Chase Freedom Unlimited is going to give you 1.5x back on all purchases, which again is the main reason that the Freedom Unlimited can be considered a catch-all credit card within your credit card setup. So for the most part, the Chase Trifecta does not give you any exposure to an elevated multiplier for gas stations. You're pretty much capped out at 3x back on dining, and then your catch-all is only going to be for 1.5x back on all purchases. But if we take a look at the point multipliers within the Wells Fargo Trifecta, let's start with the Wells Fargo Autograph, which will be the foundational card and get elevated multipliers of 3x back on restaurants, travel, gas stations, transit, popular streaming services, and phone plans. Then you have the new Wells Fargo Autograph Journey card, which gets you elevated travel multipliers of 5x back on hotels and 4x back on airlines. And then of course, rounding out the Wells Fargo Trifecta is going to be the Wells Fargo Active Cash, which is going to be your catch-all card and is going to get you 2x back on all purchases. So based on the point multipliers within the Wells Fargo Trifecta, I think it's pretty clear that the multipliers are a lot better than those on the Chase Trifecta. Because for one, the foundational Wells Fargo Autograph is going to help fill the void for the categories that are not covered within the Chase Trifecta. So those are going to include the elevated multipliers for gas stations and transit. The Wells Fargo Autograph Journey is going to give you those higher multipliers for those travel related categories, except those categories are going to be general, so you aren't restricted to having to use a portal like with the Chase Trifecta. And then your catch-all card, the Wells Fargo Active Cash, is going to give you a higher rate for all purchases in comparison to the Freedom Unlimited with the Chase Trifecta. But even though point earning is very important important for some people, there are some other important factors that we need to consider as well. So if we now take a look at some of the credits that are offered within these Trifecta setups and some of the other benefits that are offered as well, let's start with the Chase Trifecta, and a lot of the credits and additional benefits that are going to be found within that Trifecta setup are going to be found on the annual fee Sapphire Preferred or Sapphire Reserve. And so if you choose to go with the Chase Sapphire Reserve as your third credit card within your Chase Trifecta setup, then the credit that you're going to get is going to be a $300 annual travel credit, which is really flexible and useful and can lower your effective fee pretty drastically. But if you wanted to go with the cheaper option, which a lot of people end up doing, and I do personally as well, then you could add the $95 fee at Chase Sapphire Preferred as the third card within your Chase Trifecta setup. And that card is going to give you a $50 hotel credit when you book a hotel stay through the Chase Travel Portal. In terms of some of the other benefits on the Chase Trifecta, regardless of which Chase Sapphire card that you choose to go with, you're going to get some fantastic travel protections, including primary CDW insurance. And then if you did want to go with that higher tier Sapphire Reserve card, you'll also get additional benefits like airport lounge access for Chase Sapphire lounges and Priority Pass lounges, although Chase did just take away Priority Pass restaurants. Plus, both Chase Sapphire cards are going to give you an Instacart Plus membership and a DoorDash Dash Pass subscription as well. Now, if we take a look at some of the credits and benefits that are offered on this new Wells Fargo Trifecta, the main credit is going to be a $50 annual airline credit, which is really flexible. And if you're gonna get a travel card, then I think pretty much everyone should be able to maximize it because it's going to trigger automatically for any flight purchase that you make. The new Wells Fargo Trifecta is going to have some travel protections and benefits as well, but if we compare the credits and benefits across the Chase and Wells Fargo Trifectas, the overall travel protections and partner benefits is going to be a lot better within the Chase Trifecta, but some of that is just because of how new the Wells Fargo Trifecta is. In terms of the credits, the best credit overall is going to be that $300 annual travel credit on the Chase Sapphire Reserve. But to make a fair comparison, let's compare these Trifectas in that $95 range. So that would make the Sapphire Preferred as the third card within the Chase Trifecta, and then of course the Autograph Journey as the third card within the Wells Fargo Trifecta. Well, in that case, the credit with the Wells Fargo Trifecta is definitely going to be better, because you get that flexible $50 annual airline credit, whereas the $50 hotel credit with the Chase Sapphire Preferred is going to be a bit more restrictive since you do have to book that through the Chase Travel Portal, which has its downsides. Okay, next up, another important thing to consider is going to be what the travel upside looks like for both the Chase Trifecta and Wells Fargo Trifecta. At the same time that Wells Fargo announced the new Wells Fargo Autograph Journey, they also made the announcement of their new travel rewards program, which I'm going to discuss a lot more in a second. But if we start with the travel upside that you'll get on the Chase Trifecta, Chase is known to have one of the best travel programs, and I tend to agree, because first of all, you'll get a consistent higher value in terms of any travel bookings that you make through the Chase Travel Portal, with the Sapphire Preferred giving you a 25% higher redemption value for any of those bookings, and then the Sapphire Reserve giving you a 50% higher redemption value for any of those travel bookings. Plus, in my opinion, I think Chase is the absolute best travel partner program with highly valuable airline travel partners like Aeroplan and the best hotel travel partner in Hyatt. To provide a personal example, I got over 4 cents per point in redemption value when I transferred Chase points over to Aeroplan, and then I used those Aeroplan points to book business class flights from the US to Panama. And there's a lot of other great airline transfer partners with Chase as well, and I would actually make the argument that you should be able to get at least 2 cents per point in redemption value at the very minimum, because you can always fall back on transferring your Chase points out to Hyatt, which again is the most valuable hotel partner out there, and it's going to give you consistent high value for any of those hotel bookings. With Wells Fargo, again, they do have that new travel rewards program, but that program is pretty small with just 6 total transfer partners. But 5 of those transfer partners are actually going to be airline partners, and they do actually give you access to all of the major airline alliances. However, Choice Hotels will be your only opportunity for transferring Wells Fargo points out to a hotel partner. This is just a start, and Wells Fargo has confirmed that they do plan to add to their travel partner list in the future, but at least for right now, I think we can confidently and objectively say that the Chase Trifecta is much better in terms of travel upside than the Wells Fargo Trifecta. Okay, now before I get into which Trifecta setup is going to win this comparison, if you're going to be getting credit cards from a specific credit card issuer, then it's going to be important that that credit card issuer has good customer service. Chase is pretty good, they definitely aren't bad, and they're probably honestly number 2 in terms of overall customer service experience, just behind American Express. With Wells Fargo, in full full transparency, I don't currently have any Wells Fargo credit cards, so I can't necessarily speak on their customer service from a personal experience. But from what I've heard, the customer service with Wells Fargo is questionable at best, so I definitely give the edge to Chase in terms of overall customer service experience. So now if we get into which of these Trifecta setups is going to be best, I think each of these Trifecta setups are going to work best for certain types of people. And that just depends on what you prioritize the most and what your spending and travel preferences look like. If you're someone who's really into the travel side of things, and so you really value having travel upside and be able to redeem your points for the highest value possible, then I think the Chase Trifecta is definitely going to win here. Because again, I think the Chase ecosystem has the best travel partner program in terms of where you can transfer your points out to and the redemption value upside that you'll have with those points. Plus, even if you don't want to put in the extra work to transfer your points out to travel partners and then be on the hook for making sure that you're finding a good travel redemption, the Chase Trifecta can be great for those of you who just want consistent value or maybe travel domestically pretty frequently, because especially if you go with the Sapphire Reserve as your third card, you're going to get that 50% high redemption value when you book travel through the Chase Travel Portal, which can allow you to take a more hands-off approach if you want to. But one main negative on the Chase Trifecta that people like to bring up is that it's not very good for point earning. So if you're someone who is annoyed with the point multipliers on the Sapphire Preferred and you really value that aspect, then I think the Wells Fargo Trifecta is going to be the better option, because you'll solve a lot of the issues and gaps that the point multipliers have with the Chase Trifecta. Since you'll have an elevated multiplier for gas stations, you'll have those higher travel-related multipliers that don't have to be used through a portal, and then you're going to get that higher catch-all rate of 2x back on all purchases. But I did allude to it earlier, what if you don't really need the Chase Trifecta or the Wells Fargo Trifecta? The reason that I say this is because I don't think you really need the new Wells Fargo Autograph Journey, and there is a strategy that you can use instead. Basically, the $0 fee foundational credit card with great point multipliers, the Wells Fargo Autograph, is going to give you the same access to those new Wells Fargo travel partners as with the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey. And I would make the argument that the Wells Fargo Duo, so the combination of the Wells Fargo Autograph and the Wells Fargo Active Cash, is a great setup. Since it's a great earning setup, with the Wells Fargo Autograph being your foundational card to get elevated point multipliers and a bunch of common spending categories, and then the Wells Fargo Active Cash filling the gaps to get 2x back on all purchases that the Wells Fargo Autograph does not cover. The Wells Fargo Duo also would have zero downside with a $0 annual fee. And then of course, you're going to get that same travel upside, since the regular Wells Fargo Autograph has the same access to travel partners as the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey. So one strategy is that you could apply for the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey to get the higher welcome bonus, which right now is 60,000 Wells Fargo points. And then you could downgrade the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey to the regular Wells Fargo Autograph, which has a $0 annual fee. Add in the Wells Fargo Active Cash, and then you have your $0 fee at Wells Fargo Duo. Obviously, one limitation within the Wells Fargo Duo, which is a limitation within the Wells Fargo Trifecta as well, is that at least right now, the travel partner program is not very extensive, so the lack of significant travel partners could be what's holding you back from getting the Wells Fargo Duo or the Trifecta right now. If you wanted some other options in terms of credit card setups, well, you do have the Capital One Duo, which gives you net positive value and some luxury travel benefits as well. And then I think the City Trifecta is the best Trifecta setup for everyday spending if you care about point earning. So if you do want to see a full breakdown on the City Trifecta, which I think is super underrated, then go watch this video next. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace.